Hey there, Wondering Watchers. Welcome to another Halloween-inspired pick-a-card reading that this time explores the truth behind why they ghosted you and didn't have the guts to let you know that they were over it. Being ghosted is super frustrating. It leaves the lingering feeling of unfinished business that you carry with you until it slowly dissipates. But sometimes you just want to rip off that dusty sheet and reveal what's hiding underneath there so that you can gain some control over how to deal with that information. This pick-a-card reading provides some transparency without the messiness of having to ask for an explanation, which you shouldn't really have to ask for in the first place. So keep in mind that these cards only provide perspective. You have agency over your life and you make the decisions about how to live it. It's your choices and your actions that lead to the ultimate truth of your situation. If you're new to pick-a-card readings, I'll go over the process here. For those of you ready to confront your ghost right now, the link to each reading is in the description box below. I have in front of me 4 piles of cards. Pile number 1, we have Ghost Tarot. Pile number 2, the Dark Mansion Tarot. Pile number 3, Villains Tarot deck. And pile number 4, Deviant Moon Tarot. Go ahead and pick the pile of cards that you feel drawn to the most. If you want to get more information about why you were ghosted, or if you've been ghosted by more than one person, then pick multiple piles. If you're hoping to hear a specific message that you don't think you get in one of these readings, then you absolutely should pick another pile of cards. If you don't get the messages you were hoping for in any of the piles, then it may not be for your best and highest good to hear that particular message at this time. So if you need to review your deck choices, then go ahead and pause the video. Once you've made your decision, go to the description box and click on the link for the corresponding pile. So now it's time to tap into the cards, choose your ghost confronting adventure, and let's make magic happen. Welcome back. This is the reading for group number 1, those who picked Ghost Tarot, to find out the real reason why they ghosted you. So group number 1, we're going to find out what their initial intentions were with you. You have the Ace of Cups. So initially they felt deep affection for you. They really didn't know where it would go, but it was something that they felt that they needed to pursue, a connection. They wanted to at least explore that. So let's see how they felt about pursuing a long-term relationship with you. You have Queen of Cups here. So they were open to something long-term. They really were feeling a connection, feeling that there was something deeper to explore. So let's see what they tell themselves about how things ended between you two. Group number 1. You have 9 of Swords. So here it's a sense of feeling of anxiety or fear of really pursuing something deeper. Maybe it was too emotional, too deep. So let's see how your actions, like something about you, influenced their decision to ghost you. You have the 9 of Cups. So it's a sense of you really had this sense about you of being confident, happy, possibly, just being happy in your own world, in the sense of you weren't needing someone to necessarily make you whole. And so it could be that really they had a certain anxiety about maybe not having a sense of confidence. It could be that they have general anxiety overall when it comes to emotions and dealing with, romantic connections. But for you, it's a sense of it. You are, fine before they met you, and you're going to be fine after they're gone from your life. And so it's almost, they feel like they, because of who you are, it's just insignificant of them being in your life. So let's see about, what concepts of their self-image influence their decision to ghost you, group number one. Okay, well, that one wants to come out. So they have this Queen of Wands. So they do seem to be, their self-image is that they can be courageous. They can go out there and be wild. They can go out there and pursue something. So let's take a look then at what concepts of their hopes or fears influence their decision to ghost you. You have the Judgment card. No, what is that? Oh, that's the Temperance card. So here, interesting. It's almost as if for their emotional health, they needed to ghost you. There was some perhaps need to not pursue this relationship. Maybe it was, when confronted, they think that they could make it happen. They thought that, they could pursue this, but really, they needed some type of balance or healing. Maybe that's something from their past, like kind of plagued them in pursuing you. But really, they needed to step back and almost a sense of needing, emotional or mental balance. So let's see what external factors contributed to them ghosting you. You have here the Hermit. So it's almost like a need to withdraw, a need to kind of move on and go on their journey. So to some degree, it feels like they had to almost, they might not think it was going into hiding, but it's almost like they had to withdraw and go into hiding to really move on. But it more seems like an emotional and mental need for stability. It could be that they knew they had the potential to really, maybe go the distance with you, but it could have scared them too much. And they kind of needed to withdraw from that and pull away. So let's take a look, group number one, at how they feel overall about having ghosted you. You have ghost, regret. So they regret having ghosted you. And let's take a look at what thoughts they have about you after ghosting you. You have Cauldron, Synergy, and Healing. So, if they're thinking about you, it's in a positive way. It seems that they needed to heal. They needed to really find a way to deal with their baggage almost. So Let's see under what circumstances would they contact you again, group number 1. Invisibility, authenticity. It's kind of like the hermit. So once they kind of face the parts of themselves that they feel they need to hide and withdraw from the world, they might contact you again. But at this time, they're still going through that healing, though. They regret having ghosted you. So let's see, what would they get out of contacting you again? Open. They'd be able to kind of open the door to the past and face some of their issues. Let's see what you would get out of them contacting you again. Group number 1, memories. Remember that time that you ghosted me? Yeah, you'd get to be able to remind them or to tell them like what it left you with. And let's see under what circumstance. Now, let's see here. Yeah, like what would the circumstances be if they actually contacted you? How would that relationship end? Has wisdom, which is again that concept of the hermit. It probably wouldn't lead to anything other than more knowledge for them and for you overall about that situation. So group number 1, let's take some cards here, for not all those cards, geez. Some advice for letting go of your ghosts. You have the severed head. Now's not the time to lose your head. It's time to plan. So it's kind of a sense of like, don't worry about it. Like, think about your next step. Don't worry about this ghost here. You have the vortex ghost. Don't allow chaos to suck you in. And don't let any kind of emotional drama of that person suck you into, the things that they couldn't deal with. Don't let that overtake your life. And you have the friendly ghost. Your kind heart will show through. So ultimately, just, go on being your beautiful self. And those that really, like I said, it seemed like they really were hopeful and wanted something, but for their mental, emotional stability, they really needed to withdraw. So just go on being your awesome self. And I'm hoping that this provides a helpful perspective of why they really ghosted you. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Welcome back. This is the reading for group number 2, those who pick the Dark Mansion Tarot, to find out the real reason about why you got ghosted. So group number 2, let's see what their initial intentions were with you in the first place. Queen of Wands. So they really wanted to do something courageous. They really were inspired and drawn to you. They really wanted to kind of go out of their comfort zone and do something. Maybe that they previously hadn't felt comfortable pursuing or doing. So let's see how they felt about pursuing a long-term relationship with you, group number 2. 5 of Cups. So it could be because they were, getting out of a prior relationship or not over a prior relationship, but in terms of pursuing a long-term relationship with you, they weren't ready for that. They weren't even seeing that potential there. So let's see what they tell themselves about how things ended between you two. Page of Cups. So here they see it as, something that was kind of just playful, something that wasn't necessarily serious, something that they were just, trying out, almost just like playing a part to a certain degree. So let's see how you influence their decision to ghost you. 8 of Pentacles. So group number 2, perhaps you were, busy with work or working on yourself or putting a lot of effort into, your connection. But here they really weren't ready for to like create something, to build upon something. So it may have been that, they didn't want to face that, you were really actually putting in effort it seems like you were putting in effort to make this potentially something for the both of you. So let's take a look about, concepts of themselves that might have influenced their decision to ghost you. Page of Swords. So really I feel like this is just a type of person who just like jumps around. Like, ooh, what's that? Let me play with that for a little bit. I'm done with playing with that. And, ooh, there's something else I want, that's drawing my attention. Almost like I want to say ADD, but not like in a derogatory way. I have ADD, but it's the kind of the one where you don't jump around. So I'm thinking ADHD, the hyperactive one. Hyperactivity, that's it. Okay, so group number 2, let's take a look at the external hopes or fears. That's internal hopes or fears that they had about their decision to ghost you. 4 of Wands. So really it's like they want this happy ever after, this committed situation, but they weren't really in the right place to do that in the first place, emotionally or even maturity wise, it seems. So let's see if there's like outside factors that contributed to them ghosting you. Ace of Pentacles. So group number 2, to some degree, they needed their own new beginning. And unfortunately at that time, that wasn't really a new beginning for them. That was more like trying to play a role, maybe even trying to play this role of someone who could just go out there and, be courageous and just do something different. But really, maybe it was something else they're looking for, something else that they were, wanted that wasn't you, but they just didn't say it. But ultimately, it feels like they needed to work. They needed to work on them. But since this is, the outside factors as opposed to just them, it's almost as if they may have wanted to kind of just have something new altogether, because what they had with you was kind of already tainted in a way. So group number 2, let's see how they feel overall about having ghosted you. You have Mummy, Change. So, they feel that they probably they didn't necessarily feel proud of what they did. They probably don't tell people that they did that, but they didn't know. It's like they didn't have a more confident way, it's like they had to get out of the situation, but because they had these emotional, like the sadness, issues with immaturity. It's like that's the only way that they felt they could, actually make a change of their situation. So let's see what thoughts about you have they had since then. Yeah, vampire, emotional intelligence. So here it's a sense that, they may have, at that time, because you were really working on things, it seems that they weren't emotionally or mentally where they needed to be. They could have been, draining you, sucking you dry, and that you would have almost found out, that you would have picked up on it sooner or later, that they weren't really in that right spot to pursue something with you, and that you would have figured it out, or that obviously you have figured it out, and that that's the way they had to deal with things, because they weren't at that level of where you were, that they really still need to work on themselves in their past. So group number 2, let's see, under what circumstances would they actually contact you again? You have midnight, the most magical hour of all. So it might be that if they get to a point of actually accepting what they've done, the parts that they wanted to show you and the parts that they didn't show you, then perhaps they would contact you again. So group number 2, let's see, if they did contact you again, what would they get out of it? Caution. So they would be able to kind of get through all these layers of growth of old wounds that they've had, that they've kind of kept locked up inside of them. So that's what they would get out of contacting you again, is more healing for themselves. So what would you get out of it? You'd get direction. So if they contacted you again, you'd at least be able to, almost a sense of, you'd be able to recognize that you were on target the whole time. You were pursuing what you believed was, legitimate, because they were putting on that act, that they were playing that role. And so you would recognize that the whole time you were in a good spot, you were in a good place, and maybe you're still in that good place of building a relationship, of making something work. So it would be confirmation that you were in a good place and that they probably weren't. So let's see how your relationship would turn out if they did contact you again. You'd have liberation. So it's a sense of, it'd be freeing for the both of you. They'd get to, deal with their old wounds. You'd get confirmation that you were on the right track. So it doesn't seem like it's a match made in heaven, but it looks like it's kind of a sense of freeing for the both of you if that happened. So group number 2, let's take a look at some advice for letting go of your ghost. You have woman in the water. It's time to travel far below the surface. There is so much more than what meets the eye in this situation. So here, if you're initially thinking it must be you, keep going further. If you're thinking, that you didn't meet their expectations of what they were looking for, then go deeper, because that's not deep enough of where they were at that time. They were kind of really really in this Five of Cups situation and trying to deal with it in a very not mature way. And that's not like a ding on them. It's almost like maybe they had a situation that was really emotionally hard for them and they didn't know how to deal with it. So you also have the cold spot. If something feels off, it probably is. So group number 2, if you were doing a lot of work on, making things happen between you two and felt that they weren't really there emotionally to make it happen, then maybe going forward, that's something to recognize. And then you have the hungry ghost. Some questions have no answers, and the hungrier you become, the more you starve. So it's kind of like if you've been wondering why and keep asking, this is a sense of like, you're just gonna, it's gonna be a never-ending pursuit. So if these cards here or the way that you've been thinking about it haven't really made you feel you've got the right answer, then maybe that there is no answer that would set you straight except for this direction one, this inner compass. Grab back onto that. So group number 2, I hope this provides a helpful perspective of the real reason why they ghosted you, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Welcome back. This is the reading for group number 3, those who picked Villain's Tarot deck, to find out the real reasons behind why you got ghosted. So group number 3, let's take a look at their initial intentions with you. Well, it wants to be this card. You have 7 of Coins. So initially they were kind of interested in seeing where things were going, but maybe didn't want to invest much. It was kind of like, we'll see how it goes. It's either amazing or it's not. So let's take a look at how they felt about pursuing a long-term relationship with you. You have the Justice card. So here it's almost like, again, it's either amazing or it's not. It'll work out or it won't. It wasn't a sense of, emotional aspects to it. It was, a sense of it will or it won't. And I'm not going to put effort into making it one way or another. So group number 3, let's see what they tell themselves about why things ended between you two. You have 8 of Wands. So it's kind of like, the way things were going, other things going on in life, time got away from them, probably for the both of you, and kind of life overtook the relationship. So let's see how you or your actions influence their decision to ghost you. You have the 5 of Coins. So it may be that something about either you feeling that you really didn't, things weren't right, or you not having the, desire to invest in it yourself. Maybe you, if they suggested something, you didn't really jump on it, or it could be maybe you had financial, you were saving financially, you were wanting to make sure that you had money for other things, or you had your focus somewhere else. And it really just was a sense of really not wanting to invest in that relationship yourself, but it's almost a sense of you not feeling comfortable with them for whatever reason, or not really being fully invested in it yourself. Maybe they think that would have tipped the scales for them if you were like all in, but that doesn't seem to have happened. So let's see what concepts about their self-image influence their decision to ghost you. 5 of Cups. So to some degree, group number 3, they may not have been in the right emotional place in terms of their self-confidence, and that could have influenced why they bowed out of the situation the way they did. So let's take a look at their hopes and fears that influenced them ghosting you. Knight of Swords. So here they just they don't have really a plan of action. They just do things. They don't really necessarily think it through. So in this case, them their hopes and fears, it's almost like, well, I'm just gonna do what I feel needs to be done with what's faced in front of me right now. And so they just decided to ghost you. It's almost not like a mean-spirited aspect about it, at least from their perspective. Like they were just like, it either is or isn't. And if it isn't, that's the way it is. Hi, sweetie. And, in terms of what they were hoping or fearing about life, it's like, nope, this is just what I do. And I'm just gonna either keep in it or duck out. So they ducked out. So let's take a look at any external factors that contributed to them ghosting you. You have Ace of Swords. So it could be that there was a new goal for them in terms of, an idea of what they wanted in terms of pursuing someone else, or it could be that, honestly, something else caught their attention. It could have been a hobby, could have been like a business concept. It's a sense of, over here, potential victory, and it either is or it isn't. It's gonna either be yes or no. And so here's some external yes factor for them popped up. So group number 3, let's see. Overall, how do they feel about having ghosted you? Apple, risk and reward. Well, it's kind of like they feel like if I didn't take a chance, then I wouldn't have had a potential positive outcome, and it could have gone either way. So, in terms of, it's almost like the reason why they ghosted you is the same reason why they even tried to pursue something. It's like, you're either going to call me out or you're not. I'm either going to get away with it or I'm not. Just is, or it isn't. So let's see what thoughts about you they've had since having ghosted you. Joy. Rejoicing in the present. So they are not thinking about you, group number 3. They are thinking about their current situation. They're not looking at their past. And let's see how you're, like, if they were to contact you again, what would that situation look like, or under what circumstances? Bram back, sweetness, and synergy. So honestly, it seems like if it came back around again, like if somehow life kind of put you back in their focus or their life or their purview, whatever, for whatever reason, if they felt like it's something they wanted to pursue, then they would. So kind of, again, right now it isn't. It either is or it isn't. Right now it isn't. And if it is, then it'll come up again. So group number 3, let's see what they would get out of contacting you again. Burn. So they would get this sense of really being someone who is pursuing life, kind of thing. A sense of going after what they want, like the action person. It's that Knight of Swords kind of thing. Like it's just like if they were to contact you, it meant that something put you in their view and they did that Knight of Swords thing. And it's like, well, see, you were a yes and you came around and you're in my focus. And so I'm taking action. I'm just doing that. So what would you get out of them contacting you again? Pandora's box. So yeah, you can open it and maybe the things that come out aren't going to be so scary. You'll learn from it. You'll grow from it. But you don't know what you're going to get. And how would your relationship turn out if they did contact you again? You have this escape card with this cage. So one of you is going to feel confined and want to escape. You can see here it's just the cage, so they might actually try to ghost you again. Who knows? So group number 3, let's get some advice for letting go of your ghosts. You have lonely ghosts. You need to feel these feelings. So group number 3, if you are still like feeling the feels about being ghosted, go ahead and feel them. The vortex ghosts don't allow chaos to suck you in. So definitely you can feel those feelings, but don't drown in those feelings. And you have the corner ghosts come front and center with your ideas. So if you may feel that things aren't working out, or you can't really invest in it, or you want to invest and you're not in a place to invest, then kind of, if you actually confront it and let others know what's going on and share those, then if a situation like this comes up where you don't have the answers, you're not left wondering if you could have done something different to have a different result. So group number 3, I'm hoping this provides a helpful perspective of the real reason why you got ghosted, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Welcome back. This is a reading for group number 4, those who picked Deviant Moon Tarot, to find out the real reasons behind why they ghosted you. So group number 4, let's see what their initial intentions were for you in the first place. You have the Knight of Wands. So they were just going after it. They were going for the pursuit, for the chase, for the adventure of it. So they thought you were good enough to go after. So let's see how they felt about pursuing a long-term relationship with you. You have Justice. So group number 4, basically their feelings were it's either going to work out or it's not. I'm going to go after it, and if it's meant to be, then it will be. And if it isn't, it won't be. Hi, my love. Thank you. So group number 4, let's take a look at what they tell themselves is the reason why it didn't work out between you two. Queen of Wands. So group number 4, they kind of say to themselves that you are someone who is gonna go out there and find someone that is your perfect match. You're someone who is confident, and that really you're going to go out there and choose what you want. And what's going on with you two is maybe just for fun. So group number 4, let's see if there was something that you did or said that influenced their decision to ghost you. There is the 4 of Swords. So perhaps there was something that you felt like you needed, time alone, felt tired, felt like you weren't really interested in playing this game, or maybe like you weren't worth that chase anymore. Who knows what it could be that you said, but to them it was like a sense of like, I'm just gonna just withdraw. Like, this is you. Like, I'm just gonna, it's not really that exciting. I'm just gonna not hang out tonight, or I'm not gonna respond, or something where maybe you weren't as gung-ho as they would have wanted or expected you to be. So group number 4, let's take a look at their self-image, if that influenced them to ghost you. They have 10 of Wands. So really they feel like they had a lot going on, a lot to do, and really just ghosting you just made it easy for them. Let's take a look about their hopes and fears, how that might have influenced them. Okay, I'll take these 2. You have the 2 of Swords and King of Wands. So here it's like, it's almost they couldn't decide if they were that right person for you. They are the Knight of Wands, and they know you're the Queen of Wands, but in terms of whether or not they are that King of Wands, they weren't sure if they felt that or not. They couldn't, almost like they were kind of fighting themselves on whether or not they wanted to be your King of Wands or ready to be the King of Wands for you. And kind of just, their decision was just to not make a decision. So let's take a look at what external factors contributed to them ghosting you. 9 of Wands. A lot of wands here. So here, external factors, it may be, that they felt there was a lot of changes going on around them, where they just felt there was a lot going on, and they really weren't wanting to or willing to put that more investment into what you guys had going. So group number 4, let's see how they overall feel about having ghosted you. Joy, rejoicing in the present. So they're not really looking in the past. They're really looking at their present. Let's see what thoughts about you have they had after ghosting you. The underworld, what does it say? Where all things pause and begin again. So if they think about you, it's kind of like they think about it and then they just let it go and just said, oh, that person was the Queen of Wands. They'll get over it. That was nothing to them. And let's take a look at under what circumstances would they contact you again. You have the Witch, the earthly weaver of the worlds. So it's a sense of they'd contact you again if there was if there was this energy that they felt that they had again, instead of like weighing them down, if they felt that confident King of Wands and they felt that they were that confident King of Wands for you, then they would contact you. So let's see, what would they get out of contacting you? Yeah, in group number 4, a rebirth. So if they did have that situation, they did have that energy, if they were able to kind of get that spark of life again, it would be a rebirth for them. But it seems like they'd have to get rid of a lot of whatever's draining them. But right now they're in a good place. So let's see, what would you get from them contacting you again? You have unblock. So here, this is like the heart chakra. So group number 4, maybe you've been kind of feeling a bit of closed off, withdrawn from, romance, dating, because of this situation, at least to a small degree. And them contacting you again, even if it wasn't romantic, if it was just to say, hey, I was like, had a lot going on, and it was just easier for me just not to deal with it, that might kind of make it so that you accept something about it and open your heart a little bit more. So let's see how your relationship would turn out if they did contact you again. You have higher power. So it's a sense of, it would raise both of your frequencies. It would make you feel more confident about yourself. It would make them feel more confident about themselves and having faced this, this rebirth, this uncomfortable situation where they went from someone who just was going to live in the moment and not put real effort into it, get drained by, responsibilities of life, and allow them to kind of recognize that the actions that they take really affects the type of person that they are and who they have around them. So, and for you, it would give you a sense of at least knowing that the people that you're drawing in aren't just, looking for something that you don't have, that it's not just you draw in, negative people or something. So here, group number 4, we're going to get advice for letting go of your ghost. You have ectoplasm. It's okay to not have all the answers. So group number 4, this doesn't give you a sense of satisfaction. Just know, it's fine that you don't know. You're going to be great. You're going to be okay. You have the sheet ghost. Don't let imposter syndrome get you down. So here, it could be that they were trying to see more than they were and were the imposter, or it makes you feel that, you're not this as alluring or worthy of keeping someone. Like, don't let those thoughts get in the way of you living your life, you owning your sassy self. And you have the vortex ghost. Don't allow chaos to suck you in. So don't let any kind of drama, negativity from this situation or any other situation get the best of you. So group number 4, I'm hoping this provides a helpful perspective of why they really ghosted you. And we'll see you next time. Take care.